Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Lifeboat Live with me, absolutely Arian. And I am thrilled to have you guys back again on this Thursday night. We've been had a little bit of a hiatus lately. I'm doing actually pertaining to a little bit of what the topic is on tonight. Just had some things going on, but we are back now for the final three episodes of the Lifeboat Live, and I'm so excited to get into it with you. So as you come in, make sure that you let me know who you are, where you're watching from. I'd love to greet you and also have you engage in the conversation. Just changing my privacy status to public, so now you can also share the Lifeboat Live on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you share it. Also, you can share it on YouTube and hit the notification bell so that you are alerted every time we go live. So, like I said, welcome back. We are here now about to speak on a topic that is brand new to me in my life journey. I'm speaking to my special guest. Her name is Ashley Nicole Cook, and she's going to be talking. I was wondering why I was having like this shadowy look. Forgot to put my light on. But anyhow, we will have, there we go. So we will have my friend Ashley Cook on to share with us her life lessons on her journey as a mature student, going back to school later in life. Comes with its benefits and it comes with its challenges. But I'm going to have Ashley talk a bit about it with us tonight. So again, we started a little bit late. I had a little bit of a hiccup. There was a fire alarm going off in my building as I hit live just now. So that's why you saw that I was live for just a few seconds. But things seem to have calmed down. They got the fire, I guess, if there was one. And here we are now tonight. So without further ado, please welcome my special guest, Ashley Nicole Cook, to the stage.
Hi.
Hi.
I love that you used my full government.
Oh, well, just in case anybody needs to know how to find you, where to find you. She's single, huh?
And I am.
Right. Okay, so hi, Deasia. Nice to see you. Yes, this is a topic that is, very interesting and going to be encouraging because I know Ashley, amongst many people, but Ashley has been someone who I've been able to use, is a really good friend of mine, and also somebody who I use as a sounding board for just about everything. And so she went on, you started this, I'm talking about it like as if you're not sitting right here, but you have encouraged me because you decided in your 30s to go back to school and pursue your degree or finish the degree that you had ultimately started in your teens or in your teens. But of course, life circumstances led up to a point where you weren't able to do it anymore. And so I'd love for you to share with us your journey. But before you do that, please let us know a little bit. I mean, you're not a stranger to the Lifeboat, let's be clear. But there are people who may be watching for the first time, maybe seeing you for the first time. Can you let us know who you are, where, and what you do?
Yes. So thank you again for having me. It's always an honor to be here. I was actually looking at memories and discovered that for the past 2 years, it's been the same week that I'm on the lifeboat. And I meant to tell you that. Yeah. So I'm like, God just works it out. So I'm Ashley Cook. I am a mom, first and foremost. I have a college age student, which is one of the reasons why I was really motivated to go back to school. I spent a good portion of my life being a full-time mom and trying to make sure that she had everything that she needed to be successful in life. And so I had to put my education, or I chose to put my education on the back burner and, give her all the tools that she needed to be successful. She has, and I have completed 1 year, one academic school year together. She's in Louisville, Kentucky at Spalding University. I'm here in Dallas, Texas. I go to Criswell College, which is a Bible college here. and I'm studying Bible theology and psychology with a goal of pursuing my master's of social work. Not quite sure exactly what I want to do with that. I know I want to do something to help people. So right now I'm just focusing on completing what I started at 19 years old. Had about 2 years of school already done, and just felt like I couldn't balance life and school. And so I decided once my daughter graduated high school, I was going to go back, and I did. And the first semester was challenging in many ways, but it was such a great experience. This time around was different than the first time that I went. So that's a little bit about me. I mean, I do some advocacy stuff. Yeah.
We're not going to brush over that. You do a lot of advocacy stuff and some important work out here in these streets. You are out here advocating for children, for victims of sexual abuse, which is, a, a very, very noble work. It's necessary. And yeah, you've been doing that now since what, 2018?
2015.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while. I say 2015 because that's when I initially disclosed my own experience.
Okay.
And started going through the process of dealing with the consequences of disclosure. And then once I kind of shook the dust off from me from that, realized, there are people that need some extra support in this area. So hit the ground running, did some advocacy work, worked with a couple of nonprofits that allowed me to not only share my experience, but also allowed me to leverage that experience to create curriculum, and create some tools and resources for other survivors. So being in that experience is kind of one of the other reasons that pushed me to go back to school, because I knew I had something of value to contribute to a large organization. But I also felt like there were some fundamental things that I just didn't know. And I felt like it was my responsibility to learn those things.
Yeah.
While I had a supportive team that was willing to coach me along and cover for me and fill in the gaps, I just felt like I was doing them a disservice by putting them in that situation. So I was like, yeah, I need to go back to school and learn a little bit more. What I have is valuable, but it can be even more valuable if I go back and get the foundational things. So
Right.
yeah, went back to school, and here I am.
And here you are. And so what I want to kind of, I guess, segue with is the fact that, so when you told me you were going back to school, I was like here for it. I was cheerleading it on because I was excited for you and the journey, and just like solidifying what you already kind of were doing already, or the work that you had started to do, but now getting like a certification to do it like not legitimately, but to do it official and in a more official way, right? And so, funny enough, this is something that you and I had talked about for a long time. I had a desire to go back to school for some time now, but the way that my job at the time was set up and all that stuff, and I had to travel a lot for work. I was gone out of the town all the time. I just didn't see how school would be like a success for me until certain things changed. My job situation changed, my availability, and I told myself, I gave myself 1 year to get really comfortable in my new position, and then I wanted to return to school. You encouraged me, you cheerleaded me on, and we both talked about how exciting it would be for us to see, or you actually spoke how excited you were for me to be able to see how I like blossom and grow, and I'm able to like gain new ways of thinking and new knowledge that I would be able to apply to what I'm already doing, right? And so I put it out there. I said I'll give myself a year, and I did
You did it
almost to the date.
Yep.
because I started my new position on May 18th of last year, and I started school in the beginning of May, like the summer
Yep.
semester. So almost a year to the date, I did what I said, and
You did it.
I
Listen.
sure did. And so we're both college students, and we're both mature college students, meaning
Ooh.
that, you know, we are not in our teens, we're not in our 20s, we are both in our 30s, and returning back to the to 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 university, to college, to
Yeah.
pursue well, a new direction, a new career, or a new certification, I should say, in a different direction that I originally was going in, and I'm excited about it. And what have you noticed about your journey, starting school? The difference between now and then.
I've noticed a lot. Um, I've noticed the value, number one, that I bring to the classroom now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, I was in class with people that were the same age as me.
Mm-hmm.
18, 19, 20-year olds, fresh out of high school, you know, haven't really lived, doesn't have any real life experience just yet. And so
Mm-hmm.
just in a place of trying to figure out who I am, what I want to do, what issues exist in the world, how can I find a solution or be a solution to those issues. So you're just trying to figure out so many different pieces. Do I want to go to this party? Do I want to go to class? You
Right.
know, priorities shifted for me going back this time. And I recognized that, you know, I went back knowing exactly who I am,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what I want to do, know what I'm called to do, and knowing what I can contribute to a classroom situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now I went back into the physical classroom for an entire 1 academic year, and that was an interesting experience because online learning is is different. I felt like online learning was a lot more challenging than being in the classroom, but I loved engaging with my classmates. Most of them were younger than me. In some cases I was the same age as my professor, and then there were some that were just a little bit older than me, and so it was interesting to hear their perspective on things. And it was a beautiful experience to be able to contribute a perspective that, you know, based off of my lived experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So this time around, it was much different because it means more to me. It has more value than it did before. I also recognize timing. I recognize that I know we say it a lot. We feel like we've wasted time. And I changed my language because I don't feel like it was wasted time. I feel like I still learned good things. I learned important things on this journey while I wasn't in the classroom. So it's not wasted time. I feel like it's just different this time around.
Mm-hmm.
And as you pointed out before, the thing that I was most excited about for you was the same thing I was excited about for me. When I got in the classroom, I realized I know something. I am smart. I am intelligent. I know more than I think I know. I'm able to process things differently. I have something to contribute to this conversation. I
Mm-hmm.
know how to articulate my thoughts. I know when I say I know more than I thought I knew, what I realize what school has given to me is stronger language to communicate what I already know. And so one of the things that has just been amazing for me is there's this new thirst and this new hunger for
Mm-hmm.
more information, for more knowledge. And it's just like you're going down a rabbit hole of information. Like I gotta have it. I need to know more of this. And you have to learn how to manage your time because if you're not careful, you'll get stuck on doing one assignment longer, devote more time on that assignment than you need to. But there was this thirst and this hunger that I received to just know more. And it opened my mind to new perspectives. It opened my mind to consider and reconsider things that I thought I knew to
Yeah.
be true based off of what was fed to me. And going back to school this time is teaching me how to think for myself, how to find the resources to support the truth and not necessarily support what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. And so that's what I was excited for you, because I was like, there's going to be a light bulb that goes off for you, where it's just going to be like, um oh and so, and I couldn't really explain it, but I
Yeah.
was like, there's something she's going to experience when she goes back. And sure enough, like, I get the call or the FaceTime from you, and you're like, did you know, da da
Yeah.
da 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 da, and I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. So it's exciting,
Yeah.
this time around, because we're in a different place in our life
Yeah.
where we have a greater understanding of who we are, what God has called us to do, at least to some degree. We don't have all the answers.
Right.
I ain't got all the answers, Sway.
Right.
But I know a lot more now than I did, first starting out. So yeah, that's a little bit of
100%. And Pastor Hope Morris says, I love your drive, Ashley. Yes, she is definitely very, very driven.
thank you.
Yeah. Listen, so everything you said, I felt it, because this is my first semester back in school. And what I've experienced from my first iteration till now is, of course, I went into university at 17. I was 17 years old. 17? 18. 18, sorry. Anyhow, and around that age. and and I don't know that I had as clear of a direction in what I wanted, what my purpose was, then as I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What I'm excited about with being back in school is that, like you said, I'm approaching it with a different appreciation. Back then, I was interested in how to balance my study time with my party time.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested. I was very interested in what my outfit was going to look like, along with trying to stay above water with my grades.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Pastor. Yes, I've gone back to school. I thought I told you, but yes, I'm back in school. So I was really I guess struck by how interested and passionate, not only interested but passionate I am about what I'm learning, because I'm choosing. I feel like when we were younger, our reason and our purpose for going to school, for some of us maybe had been different. So for me, my first time around was really challenging for many reasons, right? So I not only was I much younger, there was the maturity level that I have now and then. I don't think I had a clear vision on where I wanted to go. Really, I knew I kind of what I wanted to do, but I didn't have a very focused thing.
Yeah.
And so I went to school really to please my family.
Yeah.
I mean, for me too, because I really wanted to be able to have a future and to have a degree, because everyone says you need a degree to work and do all that stuff, which I needed.
Yeah.
And so I went to school to get that. But like, I settled for just getting a certification in whatever I chose at the time.
Yeah.
More so to get it out of the way. Right?
Yeah.
Where this time it's like I have a very clear idea of where I'm going, what I want to do. And another challenge I had back then was that I, at the time, I struggled through school. So I've always known that I was intelligent. I've always known that I was a quick learner.
Yeah.
I was always, my whole life, very, very inquisitive, very curious, always wanted to know and learn new things. I was always kind of nerdy in the sense that, like, I was the kid who would just read the dictionary because I think words are very interesting.
Yeah.
I love vocabulary. I love using words to express
Yes, you do.
right.
Yes, you do.
I loved learning. I loved science. I loved learning about nature and science and geography and all those things. But when it came to my academics, I struggled because I've always been had this this pressure that I put on myself to be an overachiever,
Mhm.
overachiever, and then two, which I think I still have a little bit of that in me, but I think I got a lot of pressure from home also to be, especially when you have parents who are immigrants that came here, sacrificed, went to school, got their degrees, and went out to do something with their lives.
Mhm.
There's a pressure, whether they put it on you or not, to achieve just as much or more than your parents did, right? And
Yes.
and make them proud because of the sacrifices that they've made for us. And so, I know like academics was extremely important to my mother my entire life. She put a lot of like study, 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 study. And I had a lot of anxiety around school, right?
Yeah.
And so because of that, I was not a good test taker because I would draw blanks every time I would sit down to take an exam.
Yeah.
I would have so much anxiety and pressure that I couldn't even think straight, right? Give me an assignment, anything that I had to take home, homework, killed it.
Yeah.
But when I had to sit down with a timed examination, it would just never end the way that I wanted it to, right? Fast forward to getting a proper diagnosis and being diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder.
Mhm.
That helped me to kind of pinpoint what I was experiencing because I didn't know how to express it back then. My teachers didn't know what was going on. They were just like,
Mhm.
how is it that you understand the assignment? And then my mother would get me tutors all the way through school. I had a tutor, and every time I would get a tutor, a few classes in, they'd be like, she doesn't need a tutor. She understands and
Who
knows
knows? Yeah.
so I don't understand what's happening. And then I'd bring my exam and they'd be like, it's just not translating. So much later in my life, I once I was already done with, out of school, got the diagnosis, and then got some tools, got some medication, all that to help me,
Yeah.
and um, and here I am now back in school getting A's and
Yeah.
B's, right? Killing exams
Yes, you are. And papers.
and papers, huh? Because not only do I have the tools, not only do I now know how to manage my anxiety, especially around school, but I'm also able to manage it through, just other resources that I've been able to pick up throughout the years
Yeah.
to really focus and to know what I need and how much time I need to dedicate to the studying thing. And I'm like, and not only am I appreciating the journey, not only am I enjoying learning and growing my mind, but I'm also like being able to do it now this time with tools to do it successfully
Yeah. I love it.
and do it in a way that I'm proud of,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I love it. And I don't think that we really, excuse me, our generation doesn't, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for our learning experiences growing up
Mm-hmm.
because there were not as many tools, diagnoses, there weren't answers to why we weren't really as successful in the classroom. And then when we got home, our parents didn't give any grace, especially our Black parents. They didn't give any grace for real, for real. It's just like, well, I don't understand. Like, what are you doing? Are you not paying attention? Are you talking too much? You should be writing notes. And
You're not
so
studying enough.
you're not getting the support either way. And it causes you to think like, well, what's wrong with me? And so there's a generation of of adults that should be in the classroom now, but have allowed their past experience with school to determine what their future experience with school will look like.
Right.
And I know that that was one of my greatest fears. I didn't do well in school either, and I barely graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was navigating some different trauma at home. And so it made it difficult for me to focus on my schoolwork because my focus was how do I protect myself from being abused?
Right.
And so trying to balance those two was very difficult. And so barely graduating, barely getting into a subpar college, um, and then hearing negative comments about me being dumb, me being stupid from a parent,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you take all of that and it's just like, ooh, maybe school is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm not smart as, you know, as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not capable of doing this work. And I allowed that to lead me for so many years, and not just in the classroom, not just in college, but in life. There
Mm-hmm.
were certain conversations I stayed away from that I was really qualified to engage in. There were certain jobs I never applied for because I felt like I wasn't capable of communicating effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was a barrier to my life, not just to the classroom. And so when I did go back to the classroom, it not only energized me, but it healed an
Mm-hmm.
area of me that I didn't really know was broken. It
Right.
gave me the confidence to pursue higher level things,
Mm-hmm.
and it pushed me to be comfortable when people ask me to be on certain platforms that I don't feel qualified for. You know, like the biggest example for me is as I was doing some advocacy work, when I was able to do a presentation at Harvard without a degree. I'm like, Lord, this
Yeah.
math ain't mathing, you know, but somebody saw the value that I brought to the conversation with or without the degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm realizing that the degree is important, but it's not everything. It
Right.
doesn't not having it doesn't disqualify you from doing excellent things, but it can push you towards being more excellent at what you do. And
Right.
so I think that was the biggest challenge for me, was overcoming the fear and overcoming what I had heard in my childhood and my upbringing. And
Right.
so in overcoming that, I decided in the classroom, I'm going to do my best to contribute here. I'm going to do my best to learn as much as I can. Now, I'm still not a good test taker.
Mm-hmm.
My memory is not the way that it's never really been good. But again, it goes back to some trauma responses. I have a hard time remembering certain things, but papers, anything that I can take my time doing, I excel at it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so getting back into the practice of reading more than, you know, than I did before. Like, I'm not just reading for leisure now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time. I got to read to pass this exam and to learn this material so I can write this paper, but also so that I can retain this
Right.
information,
Yeah.
because it's going to come in handy with the work that God has called me to do.
Correct.
You know, one of the things that you and I have in common as we are navigating school again is right now we're both taking classes that have to do with religion
Mm-hmm.
and theology. And so that is a totally different experience in and of itself, because it is helping us unpack things that we thought we knew. It has helped free us from certain ideas that we are, certain convictions that we have put on ourselves that God never put there,
Yeah.
because we've again just adopted what has been fed to us from the
Mm-hmm.
pulpit. And that's not to say that, you know, the pulpit teaches false things, but sometimes pastors and teachers and preachers don't do enough studying to actually understand the true context
Yeah.
of what was happening, like the historical cultural context of what was happening in that time. So they're saying things to encourage us, but we need the truth of what was happening, in that time. So it's been an amazing experience because it is freeing us
Yeah.
from certain ideas and theologies that we have adopted just because we trust the source of that.
Absolutely. And here's the thing with that too, which is something that I've really appreciated, especially in some of these theological classes that I've been taking, is that I love the fact that not only am I unpacking and having to sometimes unlearn some things that we really hermeneutically were getting incorrect, right?
Yes.
Or that we were taught incorrectly. And so, or just reading the scripture and putting ourselves in the wrong state of mind in terms of how we're seeing it, because we're not taking it from, we're not reading it from the scope and the viewpoint of the time that these people were living in, who they were writing, who the writer was writing to, who the writer actually was.
Right. Yes.
That right there alone will blow your mind. Who actually wrote? Huh?
Yes.
Because 13 of those Pauline scriptures weren't even written by. Only 7 of them were written by him.
Yeah.
So I'm a theologian now. So learning all these new things has really just also helped me to not only to think critically, because when I even wrote my paper, I had to really put aside, when I was writing my paper, recently, this last paper that I just handed in, I had to really put aside what I believe, how I believe, and write it strictly from a historical and scholarly point of view. Right? It had to be academic.
Yeah.
And so I found myself having to remove things like saying like personalizing it, personalizing God in my paper, and realizing this is not a sermon. This is not
It's not about a personal experience.
It's not a personal experience. I'm not encouraging anybody at this time. I am writing an academic paper about a historical period, and I have to do it from a critical point of view, and not declaring Jesus is Lord, but I have to write why or how it was perceived in that time, right? From a different scope. And so I can't put me in it, and I love that I have the maturity to be able to pull myself out of it easily, and I'm able to write from a place that is not what Arian thinks, but what does the text say in context?
Yeah.
And so it's really done. This is why higher levels of education are important. Not for whatever field you're in, right? Whether it be that you want to be a preacher, whether it be that you want to be a teacher, whether you want to be a psychiatrist, psychologist, even to be an advocate, you have to have some level of learning, right? And so you can't just speak solely on your own personal. I mean, you can, but at some point you have to also speak from a place of knowledge as well, and of healing. And you only get that healing through the knowledge and the information of tools and different, things that you have to learn in order to get to a healthy place that you can actually teach people from or advocate for a cause, right? And so higher learning is so important. And I think it's so fulfilling to go back to school at this age, in our 30s. Because the level of appreciation for what I'm doing, I think I took for granted back then what I am doing now. Like, I think I said to you the other day, I would love to be in school full time right now. Like, I could go to school. If I didn't have to work to support myself, I don't know that I would go back to full time and just
send our husband, Lord.
and knock this thing out because I'm enjoying the learning process and I wish I could do this full time.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have ever said that how many ever years ago that I in my first iteration of college.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate it the way I do now.
Yeah.
And now the challenges are heavier because now we got bills, we've got rent for
we got the cost of tuition
and
as
the cost of
well.
tuition on myself. It's not. I'm not leaving. You know, I don't have parents to buy my books and to pay for this debate. Oh, I'm a parent or parent, but you know what I mean. But it's the load of it all is now all on me and on you. Where if I had just I wish I had enjoyed it the way I did my first time than I am.
Yeah.
And appreciated that then the way I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you pointed out something earlier when you were talking about even in doing advocacy work, there are tools that you need. And you know, being blessed with opportunities to be in spaces with degreed individuals without having one is also intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
But I also recognize that in the space of advocacy that I've been in, people have empathy for what I experienced, and they like hearing my perspective, you know, from a first-hand experience. But in the academic community, they want facts, figures, numbers. We want to know more. Like we want to know the science of this. How can we stop it, you know, based off of research?
Right.
And so that was intimidating to me because it wasn't that my experience wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in certain spaces, it wasn't enough to solve the problem.
That's right.
So it was enough to get the attention of people. It was enough to encourage, and to bring awareness.
Yeah.
But just sharing my story, there was no solution attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, there can be some coping mechanisms. There can be some, excuse me, this is how I overcame. This is what God did for me. So I can be a living testimony and an example of what resiliency can look like. But my story, my experience alone is not going to solve the issue.
Right.
So going back to school, and knowing that my experience is not a solution is what fueled me. Like, oh, I got to go back to school because this is important enough to me to where, yes, I want to encourage other survivors. I don't mind being the poster child for resiliency.
Right.
However, I want to be a part of the legacy that prevents this.
Right.
So I need to go back to school so that I can get the tools that I need to find the answer.
Right.
If I am the answer, the answer is not coming just through a past experience. It's coming through work that I'm getting ready to do. So advocacy work, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It does not hurt. And I want to encourage those who feel like, well, I don't have a college degree, you know, so am I not good enough? Like, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is God can do anything with anybody. You know, you are still qualified to be in the spaces God allows you to be in, but why not be sharper? Why not want to be sharpened? You know, why not want to know more? Why not want to be more articulate in how you say things, how you understand things? Why not want to know more information so that you can be a better resource to other people? It doesn't hurt to go back to school and get the extra tools. And we're not dismissing your experience, but we're sharpening what you can do with it.
And here's the thing, right, is that when you're going back to school at this age, like I said, we're both in our 30s, you've lived enough life. A lot of us, anyhow, have lived enough life to now have a better understanding than we did in our teenage years when we're in high school, coming out of school, trying to figure out, oh, what am I going to go to school to get a degree and to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
A lot of people went to school, got a degree in something that they don't even use and they're not even working in.
Yeah, they
the
don't
majority
even
of people, right? And so at 30, when you're now deciding to go back to school or maybe even go to college for the first time, you've lived enough life to learn what you're passionate about and what you want to do. Something that I found very interesting, which had nothing to do at all with the documentary, but I was listening to Carl Wentz, is that his name? The ex-pastor of no, not Wentz.
Hillsong.
Hillsong, yeah. So he said something very interesting in his documentary about basically Hillsong falling apart with all his allegations. That was what the documentary was about. However, he said something that stuck out to me when because he went to the Hillsong University in Australia to get his pastoral or Bible school degree, whatever, pastor degree. And so I don't know what it was. I'm not trying to be, rude.
Petty. Yes.
Yeah. But so, but he said something. He said, I was never a really good student at all. He said, but I excelled when I went to Australia to the Bible college because I was learning about things that I was passionate about. And so I did really well. And I can relate to that because he also went as, a younger but older adult. And he excelled in his academic pursuit because he was passionate. And then, I think that is something that all of us who feel like we missed the opportunity, going back to school in our 30s might look daunting to many of us because the journey may seem really, really long. So those are two things that might put you off, right? Is that, okay, now I go back to school, but I have to work, I have to support myself, which means I have to go to school part-time, which means I'm not going to have a lot of time for my, whatever I want to do.
It's a sacrifice for sure.
It's a sacrifice. And the fact of the matter is that instead of taking you 3 years full time, it might take you 5 or, whatever it might take you to finish your degree. And so the looking at the time that may pass might be daunting, might be scary, might feel impossible, but you can either use these next 5 years to go ahead and get your degree and take your time and do it one by one, or continue to live your life wondering what it would have been like if I had gone back to school or if I had done the school thing that I wanted to do, right? Because either way, 5 years are still going to go by. Whether you're doing nothing at all or you're doing something.
Yes.
5 years are going by either way.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use these next 5 years to get to finish whatever your master's, go do your doctorate, go do what it is or go get your bachelor's, or go get a trade, or go do something that you're passionate about. Because the time is going by anyhow, right? So I think that would be my encouragement, because for me too, I thought like, oh my gosh, it's going to take me like forever to finish, and I'm gonna have to go take 1-2 classes at a time.
Yeah,
it's not gonna take me. And I started looking at the credits, and I was like, ugh, this is so daunting. And I thought, and I can complain and just look at the time and still get nothing.
Yeah.
or I can spend the next 2 years doing something and getting it go, and it'll go by fast. Right, as Pastor says, it's shocking to see how time goes by so
fast.
And then next thing you know, 2 years have gone by, 3 years have gone by, and whoop, I've got my whole.
We had graduation with our cap and gown.
Graduation, right? So don't let the fear of what time might look like, because time is going to go by anyhow.
Anyway, yeah. Oh, that's good. That is so good. And I think that I want to point out that I'm closer to 40 than I am the 30.
And look good.
So thank you. Thank you very much. So, and I'm pursuing my undergrad. So this is not like master doctorate level pursuit. This is me finishing something that I started at 19 years old. And I am learning that in the workforce, a college degree is starting to become the new high school diploma. It is becoming the minimum requirement. And as much as we encourage people to say, oh, experience, it means something. It does mean something. But nowadays, with so much changing in the workforce, and the industries are changing with, AI and, you know, all type of artificial intelligence doing things and replacing people, you need to upskill. Like, you need the degree at this point. So
or some level of skill that is
some level of skill.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope people were encouraged tonight. And not discouraged by what they don't have, because all it takes is one decision to say yes. I went the crazy route the first semester and took 5 classes, and it was fun and I did well. My very first semester back in the classroom, was the speaker of the house of my school. Like, I even pursued, you know, student government association, which was something that I never even considered before. Freshman representative at my big age, you know, and my freshman classmates were like 18, 19.
You mean your child?
They call, yes, and they would call me auntie, you know, and Mama Ashley. I'm like, first of all, don't call me mama. I am old enough to be your mama.
Yeah.
But that's not what we doing.
Right.
But just try. 1 class, 2 class, 5 classes. Like,
right.
Just try.
Literally start with 1 class, right? Choose something. Don't just choose anything for anything. Just choose something that
you love, that you enjoy. Yes. That you want to learn about.
You want to actually learn about, because then it'll give you motivation to actually want to study and read. Yes. Right? Because there's nothing worse than reading about something that's completely boring and you're not interested in.
I'm not going to remember it.
I'm not going to remember it. I'm not going to care. Right? And so, and I'm not going to be, and I may not even be motivated. So yeah, all that to say, and I saw Riri said something earlier about getting really bad anxiety while taking examinations. And so I can definitely relate to that. And I did speak on it a little earlier on in this live. So if you missed it, make sure you hit the replay and watch from the beginning, because there's been so many beautiful tips and testimony between Ashley and I about our journey as mature students, returning to school in our 30s, and what that looks like in both periods of our lives, right? The first in our teenage years and now. And so the difference between then and now is like night and day for, I think, the both of us. And we're doing the thing.
We're doing it. Listen.
Like, I'm calling Ashley like, girl, I got an A+. Yeah.
Period. And your papers are amazing. Like, when you were talking about that paper, how you have to take, how it can't be personalized. You got to take your opinion, your experience out of it and just answer the question.
Yeah.
Like, that is how you know that you're going to do well in the assignment. You know, when I had the chance to read it, when you showed me what the question was and what you were asked to write about, you answered the question in such a precise way. I was like, that's an A paper. That is an A paper.
I know you were like, I'm like, I might get like an A- or a B+. You're like, nah, that's an A paper. And I'm like, I don't know. This was like my first paper.
Yep.
I had to hand in over a decade.
And you did it. You killed it. I was like, you answered the question like to a T, to a science. Like, there was nothing else extra in there, and you paid attention to what, as far as the length of paper it needed to be. You followed the rubric. Like, it was a perfect paper. I think that they need to use that as an example for future classes, to say, this is what we're looking for. When I ask a question, this is how it needs to be answered. Period.
Well, like, thank you. I mean, I appreciate that, but you know what was, because I wasn't sure of myself. Like I said, I hadn't been in school in so long that even writing a paper, I remember telling you, like, I'm scared that I can't even write a paper. I don't even remember how. And it came back. Matter of fact, I feel like I did it with ease because I'm so used to, and this comes again with, like, we were talking about our life experience, right? Like, from having to write detailed emails in our careers, and to having to write reports and like, I understand what precise getting to the point means. I understand what it means to not be. I learned this in my workspace, right? And so it's taking over into my academic, which is maybe what I didn't have the first time around. But yeah, I think what was interesting too is that when we had our session with our professor, and he sent out basically like, I guess people were saying, hey, they thought that they should have had a higher grade or whatnot. And so when he sent out basically like, listen, this is what I was looking for, and this is how I was looking for you to answer it, and this is what the points I was looking for. When I told the girl that like I thought at one point he was reading my paper, because I'm like, shoot, that's what I wrote. And so then when I checked my grade, when I saw the A+, I said, look at this.
Period.
Anyways, I'm not on here to brag about our grades. We really were here, but you know what?
We work hard for our grades.
Yeah, it should encourage you, because I definitely was not an A+ student. I was not an A+ student my first time around.
Yeah, me neither.
You know what I mean? And so I'm doing well this time, because not only do I have the maturity, not only do I have the understanding, I have the drive, the motivation, but I also have life experience that I'm bringing into this in my 30s. That's different than I'd had in my teenage years going to college.
Yeah.
So, Ashley, do you have any closing words, anything that you want to say? Because we're going on to 50 minutes now. I can't believe it.
I know.
Anything that you want to say to encourage anyone who may be thinking about going back to school, curious about going back to school, wondering what that might look like later on in life?
Yeah, I think we put it all out there. It's not a risk.
Yeah.
It's not it's a sacrifice, but it's not a risk. And it will be of benefit to you. Whether you take one class or you go back full force and do the full schedule, really seek God about it. If it's something that has been in the back of your mind and you felt like, I need to go back to school, or I want to go back to school, really seek God about it to see, God, is this what you want me to do right now? Is this something that, I need to prepare for like you did? Let me wait a year, get really solid in my career, in my new role, and then, add something else to my plate. Just really seek clarity from the Lord on what he wants you to do. I guarantee you he's not going to be disappointed if you decide to pursue education. But seek him out to see what you should do in your next. And the prayer that I prayed was, Lord, if this is your will, make it easy for me to get into the school that I need to get into. And when I tell you the process was so easy, I applied 30 minutes later, got a text from the recruiter at the school saying, hey, I just need X, Y, and Z. In the meantime, welcome.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I didn't know it's going to be that easy, Lord, so just whatever it is preventing you from going back, time management, money, not feeling like you're smart enough, whatever it is, ask the Lord to help you heal in those areas, or to give you answers to those issues so that you can go back and get the things that you need, or not necessarily go back, but move forward in your life, because it's something that's been eating away at you for a long time. Stop feeding it.
Listen, go back, get that master's, get that doctor, get that first degree, get that
your associate's, whatever, certification.
Get it. Do your certification. That thing that has been, because I know this has been at me for years. Like, I need to go back to school. I need to go back to school. And so here we are. But I hope that if you have that unction, that you listen to it, and that you write out a clear plan. Write it out. Make it plain.
Yeah.
Right? Write out what your goal is, what you want to learn, what you want to accomplish, what you want to do what would you do if you had that degree?
Yeah.
Right?
How would your life change?
How would your life change? What are the benefits? Write down the pros and cons. Like, you may not be able to see your friends and family on the weekends, or even hang out after work because you got to go home and study.
Yeah.
But think about what that brings, what you're gaining from those sacrifices in this time right now. Right?
Yeah.
Do it. That's all I have to say.
Period. Because you ain't doing nothing but wasting time.
Time is going by anyhow.
Gossiping and talking about people.
And scrolling on Instagram. Would you rather
scrolling on Instagram, sending memes,
right, instead of flipping through a book and getting something to expand your paradigm?
Yeah.
So
come on, lexicon.
Anyhow, so with that said, I'd love for you to just tell people, Ashley, so that they can continue to follow you on your journey and your advocacy work, where they can follow you, where they can find you, how they can.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even put my handle. I'm sorry. You can find me on at Hello Ashley Cook. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Hello Ashley Cook on Instagram, Twitter,
and Facebook.
Facebook. Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, I think on Facebook. I think it's, don't give me the line. If you look up one, you'll find all of them.
Right, there you go.
Yes, yes.
Hey, Bishop Lewis, good to see you. Okay, well, that's it. If you missed the beginning, you might want to go back and watch the replay because we definitely were dropping some gems on here. Make sure that you hit share. There's somebody that needs to hear this, somebody that you know in your life that's been contemplating, thinking about perhaps going back to school, perhaps finishing what they started, or moving to the next level. So I'd encourage you to just hit share. Send this, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. We are now in the last few episodes of the season that are going to be rolling out right now. There's 2 more episodes coming, and listen, I want to let you know that they're going to be fire. So make sure you turn on your notifications so that you are notified when we go live next time. And until then, have a great night.
Good night, y'all.
All right.